All right, if you're getting into Microsoft Azure or, cramming for that AZ-900 exam, you've got to know the basics. It's everything. So today, we're going to break down those core cloud concepts, the stuff everything else is built on. You ready? Let's get into it.
So you got to wonder, right? Why is everybody moving to the cloud? I mean, from students trying to get that cert to huge companies moving, well, everything. It feels like Microsoft Azure is on everyone's lips. The simple answer? It's a total game changer for how we get our hands on and use technology.
Okay, so what is cloud computing really? When you boil it all down, it's just about getting your computing services, think servers, storage, all that good stuff, over the internet. That's it. Instead of buying and running your own expensive hardware, you just rent it, basically. You access what you need from a provider, like Microsoft, whenever you need it.
But why bother? What's the big promise here? Well, it really comes down to three huge things. First, faster innovation. I mean, you can get new resources going in minutes, not months. That's crazy fast. Second, flexible resources. You get exactly what you need, right when you need it. No more, no less. And finally, economies of scale. Think about it. You're piggybacking on Microsoft's massive buying power. That means things get way, way cheaper for you.
Okay, first things first. We need to talk about where your stuff actually lives. This is kind of the first big choice you make, and it's all about the deployment models. Basically, you're deciding on the home for your cloud services.
So your main choices are public cloud and private cloud. A public cloud, like Azure, is pretty straightforward. You're using hardware that Microsoft owns and runs. The absolute best part? No huge upfront cost for servers. That's called CapEx, and you don't have it here. Now, a private cloud is the total opposite. It's your data center, your hardware. You have all the control in the world, which is awesome for super sensitive data, but wow, does it cost a fortune to set up.
But what if you don't want to choose? Good news, you don't have to. That's where the hybrid cloud comes in. It's literally the best of both worlds. It connects your private setup with the public cloud. So you can keep your top secret data safe and sound on your own gear, but use the public cloud for things like development or when you need to scale up fast. It's super flexible. Though, yeah, it can get a little more complicated to manage.
All right, so we've got the where figured out. Now what about the what? Like, what do you actually get from the cloud? This brings us to the next big concept, the service models. You'll hear these three letters all the time: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS.
Okay, stick with me here because this kitchen analogy is the absolute best way to get this. Let's start with IaaS, or Infrastructure as a Service. This is like renting an empty kitchen. You get the room, the oven, the stove, but that's it. You have to bring all your own ingredients and know how to cook. You're managing most of it. Next up, PaaS, or Platform as a Service. Now the kitchen comes fully equipped. All the pots, pans, and utensils are there for you. You just bring your creative recipe, your application, and get to work. And finally, SaaS, Software as a Service. This is like getting takeout. The meal is made, it's delivered, you just eat it. You don't do any of the work. We're talking about things like Microsoft 365 or your email. You just use it.
All right, now for the really cool part. The AZ-900 exam is chock full of terms for all the amazing things the cloud can do. I like to call them the cloud's superpowers. Let's run through them.
First superpower, scalability. Picture this, your app or your website just went viral. Everyone is trying to use it at once. Scalability is what keeps you from crashing and burning. It's just the ability to throw more resources at the problem to handle all that demand. And you can do it in a couple of different ways.
So you've got two options for scaling. You can scale up, which is vertical scaling. That's like taking your one server and beefing it up, giving it more power, more CPU, more memory. Or you can scale out, which is horizontal scaling. Instead of making one server bigger, you just add more servers to the group. It's a team effort.
Okay, but wait, you'll also hear the word elasticity. So what's the difference? Isn't that the same as scalability? Not quite. And this is where the real magic of the cloud happens. The key word is automatic. Elasticity means the system does the scaling for you, on the fly. Traffic spikes? Poof, more resources are added. Traffic dies down? Poof, those resources disappear so you stop paying for them. You don't have to lift a finger.
And that automatic scaling gives you the next superpower, agility. This is a huge deal. Think about the old way of doing things. If you needed a new server, you'd be waiting, what, weeks, maybe months?
In the cloud, you can spin up what you need in minutes. This speed lets you try new things, experiment, and move so much faster than the competition. Now, all this speed and power is useless if the system is fragile, right? And that brings us to fault tolerance. This one is critical. It's all about being resilient. Cloud data centers are built with tons of redundancy, so if one piece of hardware, say a server, just dies, your stuff is automatically and instantly moved to another healthy one. And most of the time, you won't even know what happened. So if fault tolerance is the how, then high availability is the how much. It's how we measure success. High availability is just the percentage of time that a system is up and running and available for you to use. It's the report card for reliability.
So when you see a provider talking about 4 nines or 99.99% availability, what does that actually mean in the real world? It means the system could only be down for about 52 minutes in a whole year. I mean, that's just an incredible level of uptime.
Okay, that's a lot of cool theory. But let's get practical. How do you pay for all this amazing stuff? And maybe more importantly, who's in charge of keeping it all safe? These are the real-world rules of the game.
This is probably one of the biggest shifts you need to understand. We're moving away from something called capital expenditure, or CapEx, and into operational expenditure, or OpEx. In the old world, you had CapEx, a massive one-time cost to buy all your servers. With the cloud, it's all OpEx. It's a running cost. You pay as you go, just for what you use, like a utility bill. No more giant checks to write up front.
And that's the whole idea behind the consumption-based model. It's the heart of how the cloud works financially. Remember elasticity? This is it in action. You only pay for the resources you are actively using, right now. If you're not using it, you're not paying for it. Just like your power bill. It's so much more efficient. All right, let's talk security. A lot of people think that if they move to the cloud, poof, security is just handled. Microsoft's problem now. But that's not how it works. Security is a team sport. It's a partnership, and this is called the shared responsibility model. Basically, the cloud provider handles some things, and you handle others.
The trick is knowing where that line is drawn. Think of it this way. Microsoft is responsible for the security of the cloud. That's the physical buildings, the network cables, the servers themselves. But you are responsible for your security in the cloud. That means your data, the computers your team uses, and who has the passwords and access. That's always on you.
Okay, let's do a super quick review. Deployment models. Public, private, hybrid. That's all about where your stuff runs. The service models. IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. That tells you what you have to manage yourself. Financially, the cloud is a pay-as-you-go OpEx thing, which saves you a ton of cash up front. And security? It's a partnership. It is always a shared responsibility. Whew, we've covered a ton, but now you've got the language, you know the core concepts of the cloud. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. If you were about to launch your next killer app, your next big idea, which of these models would you build it on, and why? Really think about it. Thanks for tuning in.